So this is another video I wanted to share with you. Obviously the theme being to educate people, give people confidence in lime plastering and be successful. So the main thing about lime plastering is substrate preparation. Now this room here was a bathroom. Consequently, it was cemented flush and it was painted, the surface. So, I mean, lime cannot adhere to such a surface. So there's a lot of preparation needed, and I just want to talk about what tools, what the pitfalls are in setting up the substrate. You know, it's quite a large area, 4 square meters, so a lot of demand on your tools. So just want to talk about that first, and then I want to just pass through the building and show you how beautiful this plaster is. So, because I had to use a diamond grinding disc, which is quite a thick disc, and I took all most of the paint off. You just see the odd spot now and then, but that's nothing to nothing. So that was a hell of a job. You've got to get yourself a full face mask by 3M, and it's an AXP3 filter. That's the best filtration you can buy, almost as good as a HEPA filter. You've got to wear one of those, run it with a grinder, take all the paint off. That's your paint gone, but I'm still left with a very flush surface. You can see originally it was cemented flush to the brick, and again, that's no good. So I had to cut the wall, and I've done these diamonds here, and the best tool to use is a diamond cutter, 9-inch, and the Hitachi, the big Hitachi, because that will not break down. No matter what you do, that thing don't break down. So you will initially cut the channels out with quite a thin blade, diamond. Got a lot of life in that, a lot of good value, it's only about 14 quid. And then you would finish it off with a thicker one, because you want the channels to be, able to accommodate the particles in the sand. Mine's quite a coarse sand, cardumize, so anything up to 10mm is perfect. So that was the diamond phase, a very, very dusty job. No, you got to use that. You got to use that mask. You can't use standard mask, full face protection. So that's the diamonds done. But then I still had the problem with the flush cement. Now, I didn't want to rake that out with a diamond grinder, so I used a Scotch chisel, and a very nice tool again, and that punches into it, and you just break the surface up. In some cases, depends how strong it is, you might have to use Scotch chisel all over it, and you'd use an Hitachi SDS, just in the punch mode. It's not spinning, it just punches it. The hammer option. So you'd punch that. You may need to punch it all, but however, a raker tool is absolutely brilliant. So you got your raker tool. So I would just punch part of the section out, and then you could rake it out with that. That way you're not putting pressure onto your tool. You risk of overheating and breaking it. So, I mean, that tool is invaluable. So, I've got horizontal for the lime plaster to grip onto, and I've also got diagonal. And if you get a good topography, you can put the plaster on in 1 inch, in one go, in 1 inch. And these are the battens here, which define the 1 inch. That's how, when you get the plaster right, that's how good it is. However, you've solved your surface mechanical adhesion, you've also got the issue of suction, because the bricks are so dry internally, they're going to suck the water out the plaster, and that's going to cause it to crack. So there's one smart way of dealing with that, and that is you get your plaster, which is that, and then you put it into a large bowl, about 1:1 or 1:2 ratio, two parts water, and you drill whisk it, and you make a slurry which you can apply by a sponge or a very soft brittle brush, because the soft brittles tend to carry the material better than, say, you know, a stiff brush. But however, before you apply the lime plaster, you've got to brush all the debris down, and you've got to hose pipe it down. These are brilliant. I can go from a high pressure jet to a shower jet, so the high pressure jet would then remove any particles from the wall, loose particles, and then the soft jet, I can gradually soak the wall without getting the water everywhere. So it's just like a shower, gentle showering, and the wall just soaks it up. You know, drink, drink, drink. So you've dampened your wall down for, I'd say, a good hour or so. You know, get the water in there. Massive amounts of water you'll take. We're talking maybe 50 gallons just in this room. It will just take it. These are original soft Victorian bricks, so they're very porous. Take all the water out, and then you would apply the lime milk. You know, I do 2 or 3 coats of that. If you find you're binding your original joints, just rake them out, let it bond, and then just wash it down again, and it, you know, make sure there's nothing loose. So that's it. I've also done wooden lath, because that was a false wall and it was all cheap rubbish. So I want all that in lime as well. So I've done a false wall. And that again, same principle. You got to get the water into the wood and seal it, really. And I mean, no one tells you this. Only the professionals know this. The courses out there on lime plastering are not practical. They're cosmetic. They don't go into this level of detail, sadly. They should do, but they don't. See, so I've done the fireplace here. Original Victorian brick, but I added some pigment, slight yellow, into that, just to make the fireplace stand out. But you've got to be careful with your colours. You know, it all has to integrate together, and that's a great thing when you've got total control over formulating your lime plaster. I can just use different shades, and different shades is what really makes a building pull together. So I'll show you what I'm talking about in a minute. We've got some sapele wood, which has been ripped on only yesterday, and that matches the plaster very well. I mean, this video won't show the plaster as good as it is, you know, but. And you can see now the various stages in what was the kitchen. I've got my base. I've done this in 2 coats. I had to actually put cow manure on the wall down here, because originally they would have had a coal fire, and the salts from the coal fire migrate through the brickwork, and the lime doesn't like to bond onto the salts. I'm not sure exactly the chemistry, but you apply a thin layer of manure, and that acts as a barrier, and then you can get it to stick, because it just collapsed. That literally collapsed, all that section. It just couldn't stick to it. So I was talking about shades, and this is what really makes the building. So what I can do is, here I'm sticking with my original formulation, which is like a nice grey colour, natural grey. Then the fireplace, I can add a little bit more lime and make it whiter. So I'm just getting the colours to talk to each other. And then I've got my white sash window, bang, again another shade of white. So that's what you can do when you've got control on it. See another sash window here, and a beautiful grey. The fireplace again, I've not finished this yet. It's a little bit rough looking, but I repointed it all, and I made the pointing in the same colour as the plaster so it speaks to it. You don't want to, on here I'm going to have hardwood, you know, because that hardwood on here is going to match the hardwood, which is going to be sanded back to its original dark brown. So the floor's terracotta, original tiles, 9-inch tiles. So you can see there's a bit of terracotta under that, and that'll look beautiful. You got the brick talking with a terracotta floor, and then you've got the plaster, which, you know, it just speaks for itself. I mean, you might not be able to see how good it is in the video, but it is stunning. That's a load of beech over there, which I'm going to make a doors around here. It's all going to be done in beech. I'm going to have a brand new window here, and I'm going to have beech shuttering on here. That's going to be made as beech, so that'll work well. It'll be a nice bright entrance. I'm extending the window size. So that covers it all, really. Don't think there's anything else to mention. I'll just crack on now and start plastering. I'm looking forward to the results here. So I'm very, very happy, because it's costing me nothing really. It's just lime, you know. I'm not constantly buying new materials, etc. See how heavy it is on equipment. A lot of equipment needed doing a house.